This biomechanical analysis is of the lineout throw in rugby. The lineout throw is used to bring the ball back into play. Typically, the position known as the hooker performs the lineout throw. The two teams line up beside each other with a 1 meter gap between them, and the first player must be 5 meters from the sideline. The defending team is only allowed to have the same number of players in the lineout as the offensive team. The hooker stands on the sideline directly between the two lines. After a lineout call is made from the offensive team, the hooker throws the ball into the jumper being lifted by his teammates. The ball must remain in a straight line and in the middle of the lineout. Failure to do this will result in a turnover where the defensive team steals the ball in the air or gets a scrum with possession of the ball. The movement is a third-class lever, with the fulcrum being at the shoulders and the elbow, and the resistance being the ball, and the effort coming from the muscles in the upper extremity. There are two phases for a lineout throw. Phase 1 is the pre-throw. In the pre-throw position, the feet are shoulder width apart and parallel to the sideline. The knees and the hips are slightly flexed and also are parallel to the sideline. The back is in slight extension by bilateral concentric contraction of the erector spinae muscles and the transversospinal muscles. The shoulders are flexed to 130 degrees with the scapula retracted by concentric contraction of the middle trapezius muscle and the rhomboid muscles. The elbows are flexed to 90 degrees by concentric contraction of the biceps brachii, with the wrists in a radial deviated position by concentric contraction of the flexor carpi radialis muscle. Phase 2 is the post-throw. In the post-throw position, the arms extend to 100 degrees flexion by concentric contraction of the posterior deltoid, latissimus dorsi, long head of the triceps brachii, and the pectoralis major. The elbows fully extend by concentric contraction of the triceps brachii. The forearms pronate by concentric contraction of the pronator teres, and the wrist ulnar deviate into a neutral position by concentric contraction of the flexor carpi ulnaris. The spine flexes into a neutral position by concentric contraction of the rectus abdominal muscle and bilateral concentric contraction of the external and internal oblique muscles. The hooker must be able to judge how much velocity, speed, and distance is needed to complete a successful throw. The call from the lineout captain predicts which jumper is being lifted and where in the lineout he is being lifted from. The angle and power needed for a successful throw will depend on where the jumper is being lifted from. For example, if the jumper is being lifted from the front of the lineout, then the distance is shorter and the angle is greater to get the ball into the jumper's hands. The velocity of the ball is important to decrease the chances of the defensive jumper stealing the ball in the air. If the jumper is being lifted in the back of the lineout, the hooker needs to recognize the angle needed to get the ball into the jumper's hands. If this angle is misjudged, the ball may be thrown too high and go over the jumper's hands, or may not even make it to the jumper. Also, if the power is too much, then the ball can go over the jumper's hands, and if it's not enough, the ball will not make it to the jumper. Both can result in a turnover, so it is important for the hooker to apply the right amount of power at the appropriate trajectory for a successful throw. There are a few technical errors that can affect how successful a lineout throw is. The first mistake is not arching your back and using your arms to produce the force needed to complete the throw. The second error is arching your back too much, putting strain on your lumbar spine. This also can create inconsistency in the throw because there is greater movement and is more difficult to control. The third error is lifting up your foot once the ball is released from the hands and falling forward after the throw. This is due to lack of strength in the extremities and the core to produce the movement. To improve accuracy and to strengthen the body, there are several exercises the hooker can do to train for this skill. Using an exercise ball, the hooker can lie on the exercise ball with his arms above his head, holding on to an exercise band. A teammate stands on the exercise band and the hooker performs the throwing movement with the upper extremities only. The next progression is throwing a ball up in the air while lying flat on an exercise ball. The third progression is to lie down on an exercise ball with the arms above the head and holding onto the ball. The hooker throws the ball to his partner while sitting up. The partner passes the ball back to him and the hooker performs another throw. A lineout throw is a critical skill of the hooker and is an important component of the game. The hooker must understand the proper technique and biomechanic principles in order to perform a successful throw. The athletes in this video are elite athletes, so please do not try any skill seen in this video at home without proper supervision.